Good afternoon and happy 2 weeks till winter break. Today we are going to be working on diptychs and triptychs. Diptychs and triptychs are basically a series of connecting images. This example that I have on the screen right now would be an example of a triptych that takes 3 separate images and connects them into one connecting image. Traditional triptychs and diptychs, though, were made as altarpieces. They were made on hinges so they could be opened and closed, and usually put in churches or mosques. So if you're looking at these images, a lot of the ones you'll kind of look at will tell visual stories. Some were more elaborate than others, but they all pretty much served the same purpose. Now, for modern ones, we kind of took the same idea and applied it to digital photography and digital art. So even though this image isn't used as an altarpiece, it still takes the same principle of using 3 connecting images to create a larger whole. Just as a reminder, a diptych uses 2 images while a triptych uses 3 images. So what you are going to start today is using those ideas to create diptychs and triptychs for this assignment. I put some topics on Google Classroom for you to consider, so you can think of ideas for the images that you want to use. The first topic I put on here is opposites. The second one is using alterations. The third one is using something that has similar shapes. And the fourth option is something that tells a story. I have examples of each one of these on Google Classroom. So this first example would be diptych, which is opposites. Another opposites. This is a diptych with an alteration, so I took the skull, I split it into 2 images, but I inverted one side. Same thing, I took 2 separate images this time, but I made one like a Rudolph reindeer and one just a regular deer. And this one would be like shapes, so I took 2 different emojis and matched them up, so they're similar shapes but 2 different images. And this is now an example of a triptych that's opposites, so I took a female face, a male face, and then the skull beneath it. And this would be a triptych which was, I'm looking for similar shapes out of this, so I tried to take the car idea and 3 different bodies of car. So the first one was a Corvette, the middle one was a Model T, and the back part was the Batmobile. And then this would be a storytelling triptych where it goes from a puppy to a younger dog to an older dog. So using Photoshop to make these will be pretty simple. The hardest part will probably be finding your images. You will make a total of 5 diptychs and 3 triptychs, and you can use any techniques that we've covered in Photoshop so far. So let me show you what I think was the easiest way to make this. So for this image, what I did was I started with my picture of the Corvette, and then I went to File, Place, and I placed my picture of the Model T on top, and then I had to resize it. Hit the check mark. So I didn't want the entire image of this Model T, I just wanted the middle section of it. So what I did was I selected my square marquee tool, my rectangular marquee tool, to make my selection. I'm not cropping, I'm using the selection tool. So I went to the top, and I didn't want that Getty Images part in there, so I stopped it right here. And all I did was I made a new layer copy of this selection. So if I hit Control J right now, you'll notice that my layer 1 is that middle section of the Model T. So I have this part over the car here. I don't like the position of it, so I'm just going to move it over so it kind of lines up with that wheel well in the front there. And now I can do the same thing with my Batmobile. So I went to File, Place, took my picture of the Batmobile. Again, I'm going to resize it because I want it to kind of match the size of the other cars. That looks about right, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit the check mark and see. And then again, rectangular marquee tool, make the selection, and then Control J to make just a selection of that part of the car. I can delete this layer if I want, because all I need is that part of the Batmobile, and I can delete my Model T layer there. So when I move this over, I'm going to see if it matches. Oops, sorry, I'm on the wrong layer. Always make sure you have the right layer selected. Now it doesn't quite fit the size yet, so if I wanted to resize it again, I can do Control T as my shortcut, or I can go to edit and free transform, not transform, free transform. I can resize my Batmobile here so it kind of fits, and then hit my check mark. And that was it for my simple triptych. Now in the version that I put on Google Classroom, I took my paintbrush and I kind of painted over those little parts of the Model T that were showing. Oop, wrong one. So what I did was I took my eyedropper and I matched the color, and then I selected my paintbrush and I went in and kind of painted over those areas. So all I had was this section of the car that I really needed. I could zoom in and get closer, but I just wanted to show you real quick what I did. And then this little part that's sticking out there, I took my eraser tool and just kind of cleaned that up a little bit to make it match again. So that was it for that little edit there. So since I'm happy with my finished version here, then I go to File, Save As, and change it to a JPEG so you can submit it to Google Classroom, and then name it Triptych 1 or Triptych Similar Shapes. That's what I tried to do for this one. And since I already have that saved, I'm not going to save over this one, so I'm just going to hit cancel. So this triptych was pretty basic. It was just cutting different sections of the layer, of the image, and matching them so they kind of fit the shapes. Say I wanted to do one where I got a little bit more into altering the actual images, like this example of the skulls. When I do that, I need to basically work off of my adjustment layers or my filters. So let me go ahead and open the skull and show you how I did that. So again, what I did was I took my rectangular marquee tool and I split the skull down what looks like the middle, and I hit Control J to make a copy of that layer. So now when I do an adjustment or a filter, I will do it just on this layer, and this other half of the skull will be perfectly normal. So for example, if I go up to Filter and I do Sketch, and let's pick Charcoal, this effect will only apply to that one side of the skull. So if I hit OK, it'll give me that. So this could be one example of an altered triptych. If I hit Control Z to edit undo. Now say I wanted to add an adjustment to it. I'm not going to come over here and click one of these, because if I click black and white here, it makes black and white over the entire thing. So I'm going to Control Z to edit and undo that. If I wanted to make an adjustment just to this layer, I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to select my adjustment from here. So say I select Posterize, it will do it just to that layer there for me. And I can change the level of it and play around with different effects, but I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. So if this was what I wanted, then I would go to File, Save As, and change this to Diptych number 1 or Diptych Alterations, and change it to a JPEG again, hit Save, so I can submit it to Google Classroom. So it's a rather simple process. You can use any of the effects that we've learned so far. If you have any questions, please ask me. Again, you are making 5 diptychs and 3 triptychs. You can use the topics that I posted on Google Classroom, which are right here: opposites, alterations, similar shapes, and storytelling. Or you can choose other topics as long as your ideas remain school appropriate and you can explain the idea to me. Please make a slideshow containing all of your completed diptychs and triptychs, and then if you have any other unfinished assignments, please complete those as well.